There are two seeds out of which the rest of our life emerges, two core seeds of identity, two core patterns of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. And the first one that everyone is born with, in a sense of innate, unconditional love in infancy, is I deserve it all. I'm completely and utterly lovable. The entire universe is supposed to care for and love me. And the amazing thing about the birth of an infant in any healthy environment is that it evokes a response to that message. I'm here. I need attention. I need love, and I deserve it. Now, out of this we see a pattern of waves, right? And it grows, right? Because I deserve this and this happens, then this happens that reflects this sense that I deserve. Because I'm lovable and I deserve, I keep growing. I keep asking for what I need, for what I want. I keep exploring, right? I express who I am. I become something unique. Life emerges from this initial seed of deservability. Now, somewhere along the line, in the first days, weeks, months, and years, we encounter the wound, the imperfection, the antithesis of this seed. And it comes in the form of trauma. Now, what trauma is can best be understood if we look at the relationship between a pinball and a bowling ball. So if you can imagine a big bowling ball moving, rolling along rapidly in this direction, and you imagine a small pinball from a pinball machine moving in the other direction, they are going to collide. And when a pinball, a small mass of energy, collides with a bowling ball, a larger mass of energy, the bowling ball always wins the contest, wins the battle, wins the contact from a perspective of identity, of pattern coherence. Because the pinball's going along happily, the bowling ball going along happily, and they collide. And the pinball will be sent flying off based on the angle of connection, right? So it can be bounced off this way. But in most, if they hit head on, dead on, pinball gets hit with a hard 180 and just goes flying backwards at the speed of the bowling ball. And so this is a traumatic event for the pinball, assuming there was an I to identify with this experience, because one's pattern, the ego's pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being, that says, that's me. How do I know it's me? Because I did it before. That's similar to what I did yesterday. It's a self-referential pattern based on the past and the anticipated future. And this need, well, the ego has a need for stability, for security, for coherence, for survival. Of what? Its pattern, the pattern it identifies with. That's me. I'm holding on tight to this because this is me. That's all those other things, but this is me. And I know it's me because that's the way I was before. Now, a traumatic event for an ego is a collision with a larger body of energy that shatters the pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. And in that shattering, the ego, the I, can no longer hold on to a pattern that is broken, that is shattered. And in that moment, the I is terrified of non-existence, afraid of the unknown, afraid of being out of control, afraid of pain, afraid of fear, afraid of paralysis, or afraid of not being able to function, of ceasing to exist. That's trauma. And when you are putting out a vibe of I deserve, I'm the center of the universe, I'm ready for my milk, I'm ready for this, I'm ready for that, this is great. When we're putting out that vibe, and it encounters a larger pattern of energy, a giant, a car, a dog, a drunk parent, a sociopath, a human being in a sociopathic state, and there is no attunement and there is no sensitivity to this radiant state, which is a state of a pinball. It's a very small, but it's a very big, it's a very grandiose state. I deserve it all. And the world says, no, shut up, not anymore. We've got other things. There are other things other than you. And depending on the skill, the attunement of the environment, of the giant, that is a kind of steady, consistent, slow attunement, or it is a traumatic event. But in one way or another, the message gets through. You're not the center of the universe. You don't deserve it all. You're bad. You're wrong. You're not important. You're not lovable. At least that's the message that we each receive as infant, and it's the wounding. It's the collision of the divine identity of perfection with the human and sociopathic identity of flaw, of pain. You see, and the world is always many, 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 many times bigger than the infant. So it's not a pinball in relationship to a bowling ball. It's a speck of sand in relationship to the ocean. And as that contact is made, as the body is treated roughly, violently, as they're shouting in the atmosphere, as a jealous sibling throws a pillow or takes a toy, the infant falls from grace, from the sense of I deserve it all, into pain, confusion, trauma, loneliness, fear of the future. And as a self-centered infant, where this is all about me, which is the natural, healthy state of every infant, these messages are given words as words are developed, such as, I don't deserve, I'm unlovable, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not intelligent enough, I'm not strong enough to stop the dog from knocking me over, I'm not strong enough to stop from being slapped, I'm not strong enough to stop from being shouted at. And there's a message of shame. I'm not enough. And this is the second identity. And because I'm not enough, I'm not going to go outside and make new friends. And because I don't go outside and don't make new friends, I am unworthy of friends. Why? Because I don't have friends. If I was worthy of friends, I would have friends. So each of these identities is a core. I'm not worthy. I'm scared of the future. Okay, what's consistent with that? Because the I likes a pattern, likes something clear. The I wants stability above all else. And so the I seeks to create a coherent pattern, a pattern that seems sane based on the data. And this need for sanity, for coherence, for control, for predictability is the primary need of the ego, right? Children prefer to be regularly beaten in the same regular way by the same regular people than they do dealing with strangers. Abused children run home all the time to the family, to the familiar, because the ego cannot deal with an incoherent identity. So the ego prioritizes certainty over feeling good. And this is a very important need that every I, trying to establish who it is, every traumatized I will pick certainty over enjoyment. You want to go out and meet someone. You're miserable at home. No, I don't want to do that. Why? Well, they might reject me. Yeah, but they might laugh at one of your jokes. They might smile at you. Well, I'd like that, but I don't know. You see, I don't know if they will or not. And then I would feel worse. So I'm going to stay home where I know I feel bad, and I know I feel lonely, I feel frustrated. I know that, but I'm in control. There's no uncertainty, right? And so the ego's need for certainty creates a predisposition for known negativity. And so let's look at a couple of equations here, because we could call this the creative I am as the positive pole, right? Because now we're moving into transcendent states. We're moving in and out of time. I am. What are you? Well, that can emerge in the moment, right? I don't have to think about that. Someone in a very high state of creativity, in a very high state of trust, in a very high state of spontaneity, and those go together. Spontaneity and trust leads to creativity. Creativity leads to spontaneity, right? Creativity and spontaneity are founded on trust. Trust comes out of successful creativity and spontaneity. So there's this strong sense of, what do you want? Well, I'll figure it out, later. And it's a very spontaneous, creative process. But that's a state of high trust, high creativity, and it's always changing. Well, I'm hungry. Well, now I'm not hungry. I want to be close. Now I'd like to be distant. I want to be with you now. Now I want to be with you, right? That's a state of spontaneous creativity. I am happy right now. I'm joyful. I'm enjoying stillness. Now I'm enjoying being together. It's a very fluid, dynamic process. Now, the wound on the other hand, right? And this is what gets crushed into the need for certainty when that gets knocked too many. When I'm in a beautiful creative state and my older brother comes and rips my drawing up and says, you're ugly. When's that going to happen again? What did I do? What did I do wrong? Why did he do that to me now? Why now? Why not later? All this stuff starts to, I don't know. There's all these big things happening in the world, and there moves from this kind of open-minded creativity, a need for certainty. And this is where the core identity forms. I am inadequate. I am unlovable. It's a single sentence. The core wound it's the first strongest thing that makes sense of all the pain, of all the suffering. It makes sense of it. It says, that's why they didn't do that, because I'm unlovable. And why aren't I going to go out and meet people? Because I'm unlovable. I don't want to go out and be rejected because I already know I'm unlovable. And so why don't I have friends? Because I'm unlovable. Why don't I go and meet friends? Because then they would discover I'm unlovable, and then, and so there's a core statement that is in some way the antipathy of the divine right. And that one is solid, right? Its emergence is out of the I's need to identify with something solid. Finally, something solid that I can depend on, right? And here's the interesting thing, and it's why the I always gravitates to the most negative thing. And you can see this if you imagine a picture. You're out bathing, wading in the stream. It's a magnificent day, lovely picnic, friends there, friendly faces, just quiet, peaceful, beautiful summer day. And in the corner of your eye, you see a little wiggling shape running across the water and moving towards you. And your entire body is riveted, right? All attention goes there. It's a snake. It's a snake. Something. What? I'm going to die, right? And you think, well, how big is that noise, right? In the picture, the grand vista of beauty and amazing things going on in Alder, the picnics and sandwiches, such a plethora of beauty and abundance. Why am I focusing on 1% of that? And the answer is simple. It's the fear of dying, the fear of losing coherence, prioritizes anything that's unknown, because within the unknown lie all of our fears, all of our joys and all that, but who cares about that, right? All of our fears, all of our worst nightmares, they're all in the unknown. The unknown is a neutral space objectively, but from a paranoid perspective, the unknown is the worst possible thing because you could die. There's something going to happen out of the unknown. It could kill you. It will, right? It's one of these days. Something's going to happen. A car's going that you didn't know was there. If you knew the car was coming, you'd have gotten out of the way, but you didn't know. So anything that's unknown is immediately going to draw attention. And anything that could kill us is immediately going to draw our attention. It's going to draw the eye. Because I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my pattern. And something strange is happening and I am terrified, right? And so all the attention goes on. It's a snake, it's a snake. Well, 99% of snakes are not poisonous. And the ones that are, most of them are not rushing out trying to get humans, right? Even a boa constrictor, whatever, most of the time they're full, digesting something else, right? So there's only a 1% chance, even if it's a snake, it might be a stick, but there's only a 1% chance that snake is going to kill us. But suddenly it commands all of our attention. It's all focused on the snake. And the fact that it might be a snake, that might be poisonous, that might be swimming in our direction, that might bite us, and that might kill us is so horrendous for the I, the ego, for the threat to the identity, the pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being that I identify with, that I'm going to jump out screaming, oh, there's a snake, there's a snake. Where's the snake? We're rushing in high adrenaline, right? And so this is the bias for the negative. The brain, the I, prioritizes the unknown, avoiding it, fear, avoiding it, pain, avoiding it, any threat to survival, anything big and that could knock us over. The I is terrified. And so negativity is prioritized by the traumatized ego, by the wound, right? And this helps us to understand an important equation. So we have the I am, the source of all life. I am great, I'm happy, I'm this and changing in life, and you have the birth of all kinds of wonderful things, to the core thing of they wouldn't love me if they knew who I am really bad. I'm a bad person who I deserve to be punished. Whatever that statement is that first formed in the body, the concept of the child to make sense of the pain of this big event, that becomes the identity to ground to. That becomes the most certain thing. And here's how it works. When you are filled with open-minded love and broad, you're looking at, you're creative, you're exploring, you're open to everything. You see pain within your window as well. Oh, that person's child, crying over there. Let's go comfort them. And oh, there's, I'm creating and stuff, and my toe is hurting a little bit, but all this stuff is going on. So the larger expansive and creative energy of love and openness includes discomfort and pain when it's present. But the pain identity, sought and clung tightly to by ego, in order to fend off uncertainty, in order to predict the future, in order to be in control, in order not to be threatened by the unknown, that does not have room. It's a much smaller identity. It's a small pattern. I'm unlovable. Well, that person seems to be loving us. Yeah, but that's not real love. They just love what they think is me. They don't know the real me. So that's not real love, because I'm unlovable. Or they're loving, they're dumb. Or they must be unlovable because I'm unlovable. So if they're loving me, that's probably because they're just as bad as me. And so, okay, you're unlovable too. And so you just want to be close to another unlovable person. That kind of makes sense, right? But there's no room within unlovability to be loved. And the thing with myopic focus is when it's coming out of the I's desire to cling tightly to a family pattern, can be completely myopic. I'm unlovable, they smile, but that's fine, I'm still unlovable. You can just tune it all out. So there's no expansion, and there's solidity in that, there's control in that, there's safety. I know what's going to happen next because I'm unlovable. Right? I'm not going to be loved. That's what's going to happen next. I'm not going to love myself, and nobody else is going to love me. They'll just pretend to, or if they're after something. I'm unlovable. What are they after? Why are they pretending I'm lovable? Oh, they want to have sex with me. Heaven forbid they want to give you pleasure. No, they're after something devious. They want to give your body pleasure? No, it's not that. It's dirty. Says who? Me. Yeah, I'm an unlovable, dirty person, right? And they're trying to make contact with that. I'm a dirty, unlovable person. And that's dirty, trying to connect with me, a dirty person. Oh, right. So the ego can construct everything through that filter. It's sick. It's sick. They want to get close to an unlovable person, me. It's disgusting, right? They're trying to get me to buy something, right? Or they're going to steal something, right? Because, it doesn't fit within the little box that I've created to explain reality. That I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable, I'm ugly, and by the way, this seed, whatever the wound is, grows, right? Because I'm unlovable, I'm not going to take care of my body. Because I don't take care of my body, and I live in a cult of appearance, then less people are going to be attracted to me, and then that reaffirms my unlovability. Then because I'm even more unlovable, I'm not going to manage my financial future. I could invest a little bit, 10% very easily, and be wealthy, but an unlovable person is not going to do that, so I'm going to be poor, because in a capitalist cult, we hate poor people, right? They ought to do more and do this, right? We criticize. Well, that makes sense because I'm unlovable, right? So now I have, I'm ugly, I'm poor, I'm avoidant, I'm shame-based, and then people start detesting me, right? I become, and then of course I'm unlovable because people detest me, and people detest me because I believe I'm unlovable and I'm doing all the things that they've decided are detestable, right? And so it just keeps growing. So it's always seeking, the ego is always seeking more validation for its identity, its pattern. Because all the ego wants is to survive, to know who it is, to avoid the unknown. It just wants certainty, control at all costs, right? And the more ugly we become, the poorer we become, the more vicious or violent we become, the more everyone agrees that we're unlovable. See, you don't love me. You don't love me. You don't love me. I don't love me. It's the perfect plan, right? And if someone comes and hits us, well, of course they hit us because we're unlovable. They come and love us, they're after something because we're unlovable, right? So it's the perfect safety net. The ego is able to construct an absolutely perfect self-referential algorithm that gets stronger and stronger and stronger. And someone positive comes along and says, hey, and we cower at them, we whinge, we look away, we say, oh, you probably weren't talking to me, I'm an unlovable person. Yeah, I was talking to you. You seem all right. I mean, you're a bit dirty, a bit, smelly, this, that, the other, but yeah, you're a human being. Oh, well, nobody's ever talked to me in a while. You must be mistaken. No, I'm an ugly person. Oh, fine, you're an ugly person. Okay, I'm unlovable. Off I go, right? And so it's important to understand that the goal of the I is certainty. It's not happiness, right? And so you see a self-referential matrix of the expanding wound. Now, this is, of course, no fun, and so there is a sense of a witness, a self within that says, let's come back to, I want to find the innocence again of when I knew that I deserved and stuff. And the ego said, no, you don't want that. Something big is going to come and knock you off there. It's not safe. It's not safe. You're going to be broken again. You're going to go out and love, and then your heart's going to be broken again. So they're going to say some hurtful thing, and it'll all collapse. We don't want that. We want something stable. We don't need people. That's stable, right? Not true, but it's stable. I don't need anyone, right? I don't need anyone. I don't, and then you can just keep saying that every single day, and it feels even more stable. So this is the core pattern. Now, one of so it's important to know that the traumatized identity cannot include love. And trauma is the phenomena of a pattern being shattered as it collides with something bigger. When when a car hits us and our body no longer functions, our mind, our identity has shattered. I don't know who I am. I can't remember. I don't know how my body works. I'm in enormous pain. I don't know if I'm going to live. That's trauma. It's a discordant, violently erupted pattern. It's a ruptured pattern. And I don't know who I am. And that is the worst fear of the ego. It's not mediocrity. It's not poverty. People love to be poor. You're trying to help a poor person to be wealthy. Do you want to be rich? Oh, give me some. No. You want to learn and read books and start a business? Well, who are you? What are you doing? You're ruining my pattern. Right? You want to be poor? No, what are you talking about? You're ruining my pattern, right? People love their pattern. Oh, I'm so tired and miserable. Well, let's go for a run. No, I don't want to go for a run. I'm so tired and miserable. But if you go for a run, right, you'll get energized. Oh, but I'm tired and miserable. Yeah, but why don't you put a pencil in your mouth, right? Do this, by the way. There's an invitation. One of the most hilarious things, all anyone has to do to feel immediately better is put a stick, a pen, a pencil, a stick of licorice, and just the muscles produce laughter. It's incredible. So you're going to do it? No, that's not me. That's not me. I'm trying to figure out if this is the real deal or not. I'm not going to do that, right? Is that the real deal? You're not the real deal. You're not the real deal, right? I'm going to stay miserable because that's who I am, right? So the ego is not trying to be happy. The ego is not trying to be transcendent. The ego is not trying to be wildly creative. It's trying desperately to find some pattern, one pattern, that nobody can take away from me, that I can carry on for the rest of my life, right? And self-pity is a wonderful pattern for that. Shame is a wonderful pattern for that. Constant paranoia, people can give you a gift and you can be paranoid. They've poisoned it. Right? It's on camera, so IRS is going to tax me for this. So nobody can take misery and pain away because it's such a narrow energy that you can focus 100% on it. And if someone hits you, you say, see, I knew I was unlovable. If they're nice to you, you say, what are they up to? Well, it won't last. And then you go back to the identity. Whereas if you say, oh, I'm lovable and I'm creative and someone hits you, it's confusing. It's disorienting. Why? I thought I was lovable. Why did they hit me? Maybe I've got the whole world wrong. It's disorienting. It's chaotic to hold a positive identity, right? Because in reality, there's going to be a mix of things that, your wife cheated on you. The dog died. Right? Your child got a detention. You got a divorce that you didn't want, right? The world is going to have a whole mix of good things and bad things and pleasant things. But the ego that is traumatized has the primary need to be safe in stability. And the only thing really, really, really stable is PTSD. That's where you take the worst moment of your life, the absolute worst one, where all was going, and you relive it over and over again, and nobody can take it away. It's the most stable pattern you can possibly have. Intense feelings, intense body memory, you go over and over and over and over, and you feel the same way over and over and over again. And the ego says, no one can take this away from me. Because your birthday comes along, well, I've still got PTSD to go back to. It's stable, right? Maybe someone came, I've still got PTSD. Maybe they left, I've still got PTSD. I've got something so strong, so intense, so incredible, that I can count on it for the rest of my life. And I can count on dying in a miserable way. I already know it. It's planning, it's doing it, it's going to happen, and it happens, right? And the ego gets certainty. So this creates an equation. And the equation looks like this. So we have trauma. And trauma, of course, is on a large continuum. So the greater the trauma equals the greater need for certainty, plus uncertainty. The more emotional, physical, financial, sexual trauma that you've experienced, the more your ego, will seek certainty, stability, control, right? So trauma equals the need for certainty. The need for certainty equals the need for negativity. So from certainty comes simplicity. The more you need certainty, the more you want things to be simple. The more you want things to be really simple, black and white, the harder reality is. The need for simplicity. I just want someone to tell me what my purpose, what I know. That is a traumatized ego looking for one simple identity, one simple pattern to hold on to. And whatever it is, do the work of Jesus, be Mohammed, help the poor, make lots of money. It doesn't matter what the answer. A simple dogma, And that's what it becomes. It becomes, I just do it all the time. My answer to everything is make more money. My wife leaves me, I make more money. Someone meets me, I probably don't have enough, I make more money. I feel anxious, I work more, right? So that simple dog is very unhealthy, unwhole. It's very narrow. It becomes toxic in its concentration. So the trauma leads to simplicity. It also, out of simplicity, we're seeking control. You can't control a complex world where all these different things are going on. It's just too much. This person's coming into your house, that one's coming, this one, you can't control it. But if one thing is happening, and that's the only thing, and I only do that one thing, I always do this thing, I go for a walk at 6 p.m. at this place, now I can control the outcome because it's not going to be that chaotic. So routine, control, routine. But we're also looking for pain and fear because of the equation that says that there will always be something to fear. In a sociopathic environment, there will always be someone in pain. They're not in your neighborhood, everyone's smiling in your neighborhood, just turn on the news. Someone in another country, they're in absolute agony, right? And so you get to say, oh, it's terrible, right? So there is always going to be pain, and the pain draws attention and commands bandwidth. Whereas that wonderful picnic, that whole environment, it doesn't demand environment. There's not anyone who sees a wriggling snake and then in the corner of their eye they see a lily opening. And they say, I've got to look at that lily. That is the most amazing lily. That's so incredible. Oh, that lily is incredible, and just ignores the snake. They're both there, the same size. They're both in the corner of the eye, right? But if you're looking at the lily, you're still saying, maybe I'm being really dumb because that snake's about to bite me. I should be looking at the snake. But if you're looking at the snake and saying, oh, what's it going to do next? What's it going to do next? You're not worrying about the lily, right? So the way the brain is built, the prioritization, the hierarchy of values of the ego needing certainty over well-being, certainty of survival over pleasure or enjoyment, means that in order to simplify, in order to control, in order to create predictability, we must focus on negativity. So the more trauma in our life, the more our eye seeks certainty. The more we seek certainty, the more we focus on simplicity, repetition, control. The more we seek certainty, the more we fear growth, change, the unknown. Our partner wants to go meet some new people. Maybe she'll like them better than me. Don't go and meet people. Don't. No, it's don't. Stay home, don't meet people, says the traumatized, fear-based I. Because something new might happen, and it might be bad. They might see this, they might humiliate me, right? And so the world gets narrower and narrower and narrower. The I is not bad. It's important to understand that the I's primary need is for certainty, which is why traumatic repair, traumatic literacy, understanding the language of post-traumatic growth, becoming aware of this process, understanding it, empathizing with it, creating strong certainty in positive areas. No matter what, I'm going to save 10% for my future. That's a form of certainty. And if you can pull it off, the ego will hang on to that, right? Rather than to the world's a terrible place. But the I needs certainty. And in an unskilled and an incompetent cult, we are creating uncertainty with lies. We're creating uncertainty with betrayal. We're creating uncertainty with schizophrenia, right? With hypocrisy. with theft, with rape, with violence. All of these things are creating uncertainty. And in that uncertainty, the ego will move to the worst possible scenario and hold on to it, and then start building an identity, a pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being that's based on protecting and fearing and reliving the worst possible moment in our lives.